With those balance sheets in place, now let us look at some other economic interpretations of these kinds of money. We've already seen that the central bank money is either the currency, which could be physical currency or the digital currency, and then obviously the bank reserves, the deposit account that the commercial banks have with the central bank. This is what is called as money base. This is what is also called as M0. Okay, you can think of it as the fountainhead of all the money that has to be created in this economy. It is where the first money gets created. That money in its purest form is central bank's money, which takes two shapes: currency and the reserves of the commercial bank. For most part, reserves of the commercial bank is not something that we as public would be interested in, but they play an important part though, and we'll talk about that when we discuss things like cash reserve ratio, money multiplier, and the transmission of monetary policy. However, for the most part, general public is largely dealing with currency. Currency is the monetary base, it's the M0 that we call as a money. Okay, it is what is called as a high powered money created by central bank. Now after that, there is something called as a narrow money, which is called as M1. The intuitive way to think about this money is that this is the money that can be spent immediately. Okay. Now what is the kind of money that we spend immediately? I can spend that 500 rupee note, right? So currency can be spent immediately. Any currency that you have can be spent immediately. And you can also spend your deposits. Now this is where the distinction between different kinds of deposits become important. You would have seen in your family people talking about FD. FD are basically fixed deposits. They are fixed for a particular term. That is the fixed part of it. And there is something called as demand deposits. There is something called as current account, savings account, FD account, etc., etc. All of these are deposits that you make with the commercial bank. Now any deposit will possibly have some terms and condition with the commercial bank, right? Why would the commercial bank take your money? It would take your money and give you interest not because of the generosity of heart, but because that money, your deposit money is serving some use to the commercial bank. Okay, we'll come to that later. But the commercial bank will never always want to put itself in a position where you say, I am depositing my money here with you, but I may come tomorrow and take all of it, right? The commercial bank would not really like that kind of uncertainty. So it says that, okay, here is another one kind of an account which is called as a checking account, wherein you can put this kind of money and you can take in and take out as you wish. I wouldn't question it. But then the other kind of accounts, such as a fixed deposit account or other time deposits, you cannot take your money out at your whim. There is a certain lock-in period that will get certainly complied here. Okay, those are called as time deposits, where your deposits have a certain time condition to them. Okay, now it is not to say that you can never really take your money out of an FD. You always can, right? But there is going to be some penalty to it. Okay, that is the commercial bank's way of making sure that you probably do not engage in a reckless withdrawal behavior. If you want to engage in a daily withdrawal behavior, then what you are really seeking is not an FD but a checking account where demand deposits are kept. So these demand deposits and currency that we have is the kind of money that can be spent immediately, and that is called as narrow money. Remember that money base, which is the fountainhead of all the money, is the central bank's money, which is currency and reserves, that is M0. M1 is narrow money, which does not include reserves, but it includes currency, but only currency with the public that can be spent immediately, and the demand deposits that the public has. Now you can add more kinds of money and more kinds of deposits to this and get different kinds of definition of money. There is M2, M3, M4 types of money also, but this is largely the family of what we call as a broad money. And the economic intuition is that it is narrow money, it includes narrow money plus also money that can be taken out later, money that has been saved for a point later in time. Okay? That includes your time deposits. M2, M3 and M4 will have different definitions. In India, we generally track M3 as a broad money, and these time deposits could include things like FDs, post offices, etc. It is not important to know exactly the difference between M2, M3 and M4, so long as you understand the broad intuition that it is really the broad money which includes narrow money plus also the time deposits. Okay. The narrow money is by itself is a money that can be spent immediately. And why are we interested in the money that can be spent immediately? Some of you might probably get a hint that we are talking about spending, and this is something that you can relate to the expenditure approach, the GDP that was arrived at counting all the money that was spent. Okay. So, this narrow money is therefore important from that expenditure perspective. It is the money that can be utilized to spend on products and services immediately, and that is equal to currency in circulation with the public plus the demand deposits that the public has that they can access at any point in time. Okay. That is the difference between narrow money and broad money, and money base of course is the high powered money that the central bank creates. So, just these three economic distinctions will help you get a much better sense of when we talk about money, it is not just one kind of money that we are talking about, we are referring to many different kinds and types of money.